And for more, we're joined by Thierry Vircoulon, Associate Researcher at the Africa Centre of the French think tank IFRI, the Institute for International Relations. Thanks for being with us.
Hello.
We're getting a briefing that's taking place as we speak in New York at the United Nations. They're talking about internet cut, telephone service patchy in Goma, fighting in lots of neighborhoods, at least 17 killed, say medical sources there. The battle for Goma, why is it coming to a head now?
Well, it's quite of a surprise actually, because the M23 has started fighting since for 3 years now, and it has cut off the roads to Goma, but till recently it didn't move towards Goma. It actually expanded to the west of the North Kivu. So now it's quite a strategic surprise that they tried to take Goma again, as they did in November 2012, and they probably succeeded at the time we're speaking. But it's a new strategic move, and I think probably the case is to the motive actually it's to force the Congolese government to negotiate with the M23, because so far the Congolese government has always refused to negotiate with that armed group.
Yeah, because back in 2012, the M23 held the city for a very short period of time. Could it be a similar scenario this time?
Well, they were forced...
If they take this, if it's confirmed, of course.
Yes, they were forced to leave Goma at that time because there was a joint operation, counteroffensive by the UN Blue Helmets and the Congolese army. Right now, I don't know if that is still feasible, politically feasible, because I remember in 2012, actually, the UN was quite humiliated. The UN peacekeeping mission there was quite humiliated, and they were treated publicly as tourists, so they had to react. I'm not sure we are in the same kind of political situation now. But in addition, which an element that is missing compared to the 2012 is that the South African army is present in Goma. They have military troops in Sake, or close to Sake, and therefore they also are part of the battlefield. And it seems that Pretoria was thinking about sending some reinforcements to its troop in North Kivu. So we're going to see if that move is happening or not. And I think it would be important, because indeed South Africa is deeply involved in what's going on there also.
Deeply involved because?
Because they have deployed, they were asked to come back on the battlefield by the Congolese government last year, and they deployed a mission under SADC, a military mission under SADC, that was supposed to help to counter the M23.
SADC, the community of Southern African states. It's the community of Eastern African states that is right now trying to motor diplomacy. Let's listen to Kenya's president, who spoke earlier in the day.
I have discussed the summit meeting for Wednesday, both with President Paul Kagame and President Felix Tshisekedi, and both of them have confirmed their participation in the summit on Wednesday.
We've seen these kinds of promises before, where these rivals, the president of Rwanda and the president of DR Congo, say they're going to show up. It's a long time between now and Wednesday. Will they be present this time in Nairobi?
Well, I think it's quite possible this time. There's a need for a mediation, so it's normal that the Kenyan president tries to organize one. We'll see if they show up, but it's pretty clear that there's not much room for maneuver for the Congolese government in that situation, so he has an interest to show up. And Paul Kagame also, I think, is in a position where it would be good for him to show up in this meeting and to urge actually or try to obtain the fact that the Congolese government negotiate with the M23, which is one of the key contentious issues between Kigali and Kinshasa.
Yeah, the European Union putting out a statement this Monday saying that asking Rwanda's president to withdraw his forces from eastern Congo.
Yes, because the M23 is heavily backed by the Rwandan army, and this is open knowledge, if I may say so. Since the beginning of that conflict, the Rwandan forces have been crossing the border and have been supported heavily the M23. They have actually provided high-tech equipment to the M23, and that's why they managed to prevail on the battlefield against the Congolese armed forces, because they have high-tech equipment such as missile and also some special system to basically destroy drones and everything that flies.
So getting back to the South Africans who are present at the request of Kinshasa, are they on a collision course with Rwandan troops?
Well, they already had several casualties. I think when the M23 moved towards Goma, they lost, I think, 7 men. So they are involved in the battlefield and they've already lost people.
Thierry Vircoulon, this is considered the aftershocks of the Rwandan genocide. At first, there was the Rwandan army chasing genocidaires across the border back in 1994. The fighting in earnest begins a couple of years later. Why are we still at this point, 30 years later?
Well, because the whole system of conflict in the Great Lakes has not changed, basically. And it's still very much a business war, basically, where everybody is fighting for the control of the natural resources in eastern Congo. And actually that war, or low-intensity war, I would say, is making a lot of people rich. And that's why the war continues, because it's a very profitable war.
There's rare minerals there. Would it not be better for business if there were peace?
Well, I don't know which business you're referring, but certainly not for the people who are making money now.
Thierry Vircoulon, one final thought. What role for big powers like France, like the former colonial power Belgium?
Well, I mean, what you call the big powers are learning that they're small. This is what's going on now. The lesson that's going on now with that conflict is that despite there was a time when indeed when they were making diplomatic statements that could have an influence on the players, on the Rwanda, on Congo, etc., and on other players, South Africa. This is not the case anymore.
Because Emmanuel Macron has tried to mediate.
Yes, several times also, as you mentioned, unsuccessfully. And so that lack of success is actually a great sign of powerlessness.
Thierry Vircoulon, many thanks for being with us.